I need you to trust me one last time. Hey guys, this is Frozen Wish Studios here, and welcome back to another movie review. And today, I am here today to do a review on Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning. So, Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning is, like what the title suggests, the final installment in the Mission Impossible franchise, the eighth Mission Impossible movie overall, and it is directed by Christopher McQuarrie, just like the previous three Mission Impossible movies. And it stars Tom Cruise, Haley Atwell, Ving Rhames, Simon Pegg, S.I. Morales, Palm Clementieff, Henry Czerny, Janet McTeer, Nick Offerman, Hannah Waddingham, Shea Wigham, Greg Tarzan Davis, Charles Parnell, Angela Bassett, Katie O'Brien, etc. And so the film tells a story taking place 2 months after the events of Dead Reckoning, where characters are still trying to find a way to defeat the entity. The previous film revolved around trying to recover the key to the entity, and now in this film our characters are getting access to the entity, and now they must find a way to stop it. And so the entity, if you guys don't know, it is an AI that has infiltrated intelligence networks all over the globes, with the world's government and mysterious ghosts from Ethan's past on their trail. Ethan is in hiding now. As After he has gone rogue, he is set to get arrested, and so but then everybody else finds him, and eventually gets caught, but then the president Erica Solane is able to trust Ethan Hunt on his on his mission to continue to destroy the entity, as he is only given a few months to I mean, not a few months, but a few days to do so. I think it was 2 days. Yeah. Um, Join my new allies, and armed with the means to shut the entity down for good, Hunt is in a race against time to prevent the world as we know it from changing forever. So yeah, now yeah, I think it's safe to say that the Mission Impossible franchise is one of the greatest franchises of all time. And if I were to talk about action franchises, it would be my second favorite franchise of all time, action franchise of all time, second only behind Bond. Sure, don't get me wrong though. I do think that the John Wick franchise is more consistent to me. I get that, but I'm just personally more of a Mission Impossible fan. I'm just more passionate towards a Mission Impossible than I am with John Wick. But don't get me wrong, I will say that I am more excited for Ballerina than the Final Reckoning. I think Ballerina will be the better movie than the Final Reckoning, but yeah, now let's look back at the other final at the other Mission Impossible movies, as this is the last one. So the first Mission Impossible movie is a solid start. Sure, it is the second weakest Mission Impossible movie, but it is still a great film, and I think that I feel like I'd probably appreciate that movie more on rewatch. And yeah, I'd certainly appreciate the original Mission Impossible more on rewatch. Yeah, because this film does have some nods to the first film, which I'll get to later. Mission Impossible 2, on the other hand, yeah, we can all agree that is the worst Mission Impossible movie yet. It is a bad movie in general. I don't know how the fuck people defend this movie and would give all the hate to either Dead Reckoning or this one. But yeah, Mission Impossible 2 is, good God, yeah, it is terrible. Mission Impossible 3 is where the franchise truly got going. Sure, it's not perfect, but it is a great film. With one of the greatest Mission Impossible villains ever. Many people consider him to be the best Mission Impossible villain, but I wouldn't go that far. But he's still a great villain, and I think this movie kickstarted the hodgepodge of Tom Cruise doing crazy stunts. which would lead into Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol, which was the film that truly put Mission Impossible on the map. That made this franchise the way it is today, a consistent high quality of film. So and then well, those four Mission Impossible movies changed the game for the franchise. They're like absolute game changers here. But Christopher McQuarrie is the one that truly changed the franchise. Yeah, actually, that's what I meant to say. I didn't mean to say these directors are game changers, but I mean the first four films are game changers with all these directors. Brad Bird kind of did, but it's Christopher McQuarrie who is the definitive director of this film. Every single Christopher McQuarrie Mission Impossible movies has been the best Mission Impossible movie yet. Mission Impossible Rogue Nation, when that came out, it was the best Mission Impossible movie. And it was actually the movie that not only introduced me to the franchise, being with that being the first Mission Impossible movie I ever saw, let alone in theaters. It is also the first Tom. It is also the movie that introduced me to Tom Cruise. So and then Fallout came along, and people still consider Fallout to be the greatest Mission Impossible movie to this day. And I think Fallout deserves all the hype it gets. It's such a masterpiece. And then there's Dead Reckoning, which I consider Dead Reckoning as the absolute best Mission Impossible movie. I know there are a lot of people who say that Dead Reckoning was the film that made the franchise go downhill, but to me, I think that the Mission Impossible movies still continue to get better and better with Dead Reckoning. Dead Reckoning is, yeah, like what I said, Dead Reckoning is my favorite Mission Impossible movie ever. And I think that I place this movie way too low on my top 10 favorite movies of 2023 list when I made a list. Now I would on rewatch Dead Reckoning would certainly now be in my top among my top five favorite movies of 2023, and it is now my favorite movie of July 2023. Sorry, Oppenheimer and Barbie, but you have been dethroned by Mission Impossible. So with the Final Reckoning, this is the final film in the franchise, and a lot of people surely expected this to be the best one yet, including myself. I wanted this to be the best Mission Impossible movie because of the fact that this is the final one, and this franchise has been so consistently great. So what could go wrong with the Final Reckoning? Yeah. Now, while I wouldn't go as far as saying this is my most anticipated movie of 2025, it's certainly one of them, and I can see why a lot of people have. Sorry. Sorry, I bumped into something. But anyway, so back to what I was saying. I can see why a lot of people have chosen this to be their number one most anticipated movie of the year because it is the final Mission Impossible movie, and due to how consistent this franchise is, we should all expect this movie to go out with a bang. Unfortunately, though, the reviews are not great. They're all saying it's just good but not great, but disappointing by Mission Impossible standards. Sure, there are people who love the hell out of this movie. There are people who say that this was the perfect conclusion to the franchise. But then there are also, yeah, those people who say that this movie was a letdown, and some people would even go as far as calling this the weakest Mission Impossible movie since Mission Impossible 2. And some even go as far as calling this the worst Mission Impossible movie ever. And it's kind of a shame because it really feels like a shame whenever a movie that the people considered as their most anticipated movie of the year ended up being a disappointment. But for me, I hardly that hardly ever happens to me. The the last time, so when my most anticipated movie of the year did not really end up being the masterpiece I expected it to be. I think that was for 2015 with Avengers Age of Ultron and 2017 with Star Wars The Last Jedi. Both movies were my most anticipated movies of their respective years, but they did not meet my expectations. They were not the masterpieces I expected. Sure, I mean both movies I did praise as masterpieces at the time, but now looking back at them, they're just not perfect. And I even hated Last Jedi at one point because toxic Star Wars fans that got in my head. But yeah, but now with the other movies that I called my most in Disney movie of the year. With 2019 was Avengers Endgame. Sure, Frozen 2 took the title as the best movie of 2019, but Endgame still lived up to the hype. 2020, Tenet was my most anticipated movie of that year. Sure, it was dethroned by Soul, but I still love Tenet regardless. 2021, I think it was No Time to Die. Sure, I mean, recently I did look back at No Time to Die, realize that there is another movie that I prefer over No Time to Die, which is West Side Story, but No Time to Die still rules. And 2023 was Across the Spider Verse. No, wait, no, no, sorry. 2022. What was my most anticipated movie? 2022 again. Honestly, I'll admit I actually don't remember what my number one most anticipated movie of 2022 was. I think it was a film that got delayed to 2023, but whatever. 2023 it was Across the Spider Verse, still a masterpiece. 2024, yeah, I was doing part two, still a masterpiece. So yeah, I always end up see what I mean. I always end up calling my most anticipated movies of the year a masterpiece. And sure, I can't remember the last time where like my most anticipated movie of the year ended up being my actual favorite movie of the year. But that could actually happen this year with Zootopia 2, as considering that Zootopia 2 was my most anticipated movie of 2016, even though Captain America Civil War was my most anticipated movie that month. I'm actually Zootopia was the best movie of 2016. I am confident that Zootopia 2 will be the best movie of this year. And then next year, Avengers Doomsday 2027, Frozen 3 especially. Yeah, I think that's going to be the case now. So it always makes me happy whenever a movie that people would consider as their most anticipated movie of the year would end up getting as much love as the hype. But so it really makes me upset. So I am kind of deeply upset by this movie's mixed divisive reception. But as for me, oh by the way, before I do it, I know you. A lot of people have been asking me, oh wait a second, how did you end up seeing this film? It's not even out yet. Okay, first of all, just because you're an American, you're in the U.S. does not mean you should just say, oh, every movie has the same release date as American. You do know that foreign countries can have different release dates from the U.S., including releasing it earlier. Heck, I saw Dead Reckoning and Top Gun Maverick earlier than the U.S. release date. But so here we go again. Yeah, I guess I'm always lucky to see Tom Cruise movies ahead of everyone else. But anyways, now let's get into my actual thoughts on the film. So yes, time to answer the title question. Is Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning the best Mission Impossible movie ever? Sadly, no. It is not the best Mission Impossible movie. That would still go to Dead Reckoning. But Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning was nonetheless a perfect conclusion to one of the greatest action franchises of all time. So, in other words, I love this movie. I absolutely loved it. Regardless if it did not top Dead Reckoning as my favorite Mission Impossible movie, this movie still rules. This is a film that not only manages to cut the loose ends from where Dead Reckoning left off, but it culminates the whole franchise from beginning to end. It honors that, in particular, the first Mission Impossible movie in a way that makes you feel like I appreciate that movie more. Plot elements of the first film are very crucial to this film, out to the point where now it makes me want to appreciate that the first movie even more. This is the final Mission Impossible movie. Every single passion and dedication in making this film was absolutely felt. This is definitely not your typical Mission Impossible movie where it's all non-stop spy action and big stunts, as it focuses more on it's more plot heavy as it tries to tie things together throughout this franchise. The opening scene in the film immediately gets you hooked into the fact that this is the grand finale, honoring everything Ethan has done throughout with a collection of montages from past films to support it. And yeah, that the opening scene really got me into tears. So that was a beautiful opening scene. maybe the best opening scene in the franchise yet, because of just how. Yeah, sure. Either this or Ghost Protocol. Yeah, Ghost. No, sorry, Rogue Nation with that plane hanging scene. But I mean, but I guess both this and Rogue Nation's opening scenes are the best in different ways. But yeah, so yeah, the other reviewers have criticized this film for the first hour of the film being more geared towards exposition and flashbacks to connect everything together. I get that not everyone wanted to see that, but I think that people have overreacted with that first scene. Like, oh, there's no action. It's just all exposition and flashbacks. Where's all the action? Like, there was action in the first half. Did you even pay attention, or are you just like, oh my gosh, this movie's a disappointment? Like you're just like ignoring the fact that there are good things about that opening scene, and you just want to like criticize it. Yeah, I get that not everyone wanted that in a Mission Impossible movie, but it's not entirely all exposition and flashbacks, as there's still action sequences within the first hour, specifically with the London mission where they must find Gabriel and a piece of the entity device. Like, and then there's like, the first hour contains Tom Cruise running fast, Tom Cruise also running fast, and also some hand-to-hand fight sequences. Sure, there are minor action sequences, but there's still action sequences regardless, and you don't need to rely on the big stunts to just acknowledge the movie having action scenes. So why can't people give the smaller scaled action scenes in their franchise some recognition? It cannot be just the big scenes to be considered action scenes. And yeah, so where is all the there's no action until halfway to the film claims? I don't know where that came from. Um, yeah, going into this film knowing what to expect from the first hour based on reviews, it was helpful in making the film much more engaging. So if you want to be engaged from the film and not bored, just take the reviews for word. The reviews that are saying that there's slow pacing. It's not as slow as you think. The montages not only honor the past, but also make sense in the context of this film's storyline. The purpose of the montages in this film is to show the expositions in order to avoid breaking the show don't tell and must rely on Ethan's past missions to defeat the entity, especially the vault break-in from the first film, which was a moment crucial to this latest mission. People also say, oh, this movie is just all nostalgia and fan service. No, it was not. The nostalgia and fan service in this film made sense to the context of the story. It actually served a purpose. It wasn't just shoehorned in. Yeah, the entity continues to show how powerful it is, and the way to defeat it is to make sacrifices. And there were some heroic sacrifices made in the film. I won't say who it is, but that's the best I'll say about minor spoilers, quote unquote. And what else? Sure. This movie, sure, the entity wasn't as much of a big threat as it was in Dead Reckoning, because the entity in Dead Reckoning, oh boy, yeah, it was a huge threat. Like that scene in Venice where Benji was telling Ethan where to go, giving Ethan directions, but then the entity suddenly hacked into Benji's laptop and voice Benji, pretending to be Benji to like direct Ethan into a small alley, only for Paris and that other guy to fight Ethan, and then and that literally was the cause of Ilsa's death in the last one. Yeah, that was yeah. The whole point of Ilsa's death was to show how terrifying the entity was, and to like challenge Tom Cruise. Ethan truly does feel challenged. And yeah, and although in this film we didn't really have the moment that really makes the entity feel as terrifying as it was in that moment in Dead Reckoning, but this movie was able to provide more information about it, allowing audiences to know more about the entity and what it is. And this is a pure Ethan Hunt movie. Yeah, this movie purely emphasizes on Ethan Hunt more than the supporting characters. And I gotta say, this movie is Ethan at his best yet. Tom Cruise gives his best performance as Ethan Hunt, showcasing how much passion and dedication he had for the role throughout. And his character arc truly feels fulfilled from both the past and the present, based on character arc and characterization and the way they handled it and executed it. Yeah, this is what made Ethan at his best yet. The other characters still did their parts really well, despite being separated from Ethan most of the time. Luther is the heart of the film, and I did tear up because of a certain monologue he says, one of the greatest monologues I've ever heard. Benji still as always with his comedic charm, and he is still my second favorite male character in the franchise, second only to Ethan Hunt himself. Although Dead Reckoning was still where his character was at his best, especially when Benji turned out to be the heart of that film, showcasing how much love he has for his friends. Grace is still the best Mission Impossible character and continues to be the best character in this film. Well, technically so tied with the White Widow is the best character in the film. Who The White Widow unfortunately was not in this movie, but did have a flashback montage appearance in the beginning. Yeah, we saw a lot of White Widows on montages. As it turns out, Grace's character development from Dead Reckoning wasn't fully complete as this movie continues her character development in this one, where now she must learn how to use her pickpocketing skills to help the heroes. Paris is another standout in this, and I love how she is on the IMF side now, going from a major villain in the last film to a hero in this one. Man, one of the best villain redemption arcs I've seen in a while. While it doesn't have the most amount of action scenes in the franchise, the action sequences are absolutely the cherry on top. I'm not sure if they top some of Dead Reckoning's best action scenes, like the Venice fight, the Venice chase and fight, as well as the train crash sequence of Dead Reckoning. But they're that level of good. The submarine sequence was absolutely intense and suspenseful, with audiences actually getting worried about Ethan, asking the question, how is he going to make it out alive? But the best action sequence in the film is definitely the plane sequence. Tom Cruise hangs on the plane while it's flying and literally climbs on it. And not to mention, there's a scene where he floats on the plane while on the wing, yet he's still there, which is like an insane stunt to pull. My parents actually thought that these submarine and plane sequences were CGI, and yeah, it could have been CGI considering how absurd they were. But they don't abuse the absurdity, and Tom Cruise was truly dedicated for the stunts. This movie is called Mission Impossible for a reason. I mean, these are impossible stunts that are truly yeah, that are made possible. That's why it's called Mission Impossible. And yeah, what else? And Tom Cruise was truly dedicated for these stunts. I think that this movie's stunts are the best yet, just based on the stunt work alone. But I just think that Dead Reckoning's action scenes were just exciting and were more memorable. The plane scene did not make me lose my breath in excitement the way that the train crash scene in Dead Reckoning did. Oh, and also let's talk about the villain Gabriel. Gabriel was the weakest link about Dead Reckoning. I liked him, but I don't think he's one among the best Mission Impossible villains. But here, now he is among my top three favorite Mission Impossible main antagonists in general. He was a far better villain in this than in Dead Reckoning. He actually pissed me off, and that is a compliment from a villain as evil as him. He's someone who you would want to see lose, and the way he gets defeated, absolutely brutal as hell. There's blood shown in this film, but mild, of course. Well, mild blood, of course, since this is PG-13. I think that this is the most violent Mission Impossible movie. Yes, there was an action scene within the first 30 minutes of the film, one of the first action scenes in the film, where Ethan Lee brutally kills Gabriel's henchman with a knife in a gory way. But the camera does not show him the kill, but rather the camera was like mainly focused on Grace watching him kill them. But then afterwards, they did the show, the knife being the on the henchman. Yeah, yeah. Angela Bassett proves how good of an actress she is, and gives such a highly underrated performance as President Selene. I know I can tell nobody is going to talk about her, so I'll be the first to actually give a shit about her. Also, Selene is the best movie president since Whitmore in Independence Day. Yeah, and I think I'm not sure if Angela Bassett has ever won an Oscar, but I think Angela Bassett should win an Oscar by now because of how good she is. She was as an actress. Is she as good as Ramonda Ramon is she good as in Black Panther Wakanda Forever as Queen Ramonda? No, but she's still amazing. This was one of her best performances for sure. Oh, and there is a certain character from an older installment who returned in this one. I won't say who it is, but you are not ready for the return of this character. My audiences were like losing their minds over the return of this one character. There is a certain plot twist in the film that has one of the biggest holy shit plot twists I have ever seen. I have seen in a long time, and hands down the best plot twist in the franchise. I won't say what the plot twist is, but I'll say is that it's one of the connections to the first Mission Impossible movie. That is one of the reasons, one of the things that motivates me to revisit the first one. Oh, by the way, yes, I did not watch the first movie in preparation for this. I only rewatched Ghost Protocol to like Jedi Reckoning. Yeah. So yeah. Oh, and believe it or not, the best action scene in the film isn't one of the big stunt moments or an action scene. The best scene in the film is the ending. Now, this is actually a very natural ending. It doesn't have any big expectation subversions that tends to be a problem with big finales nowadays. The ending is a very calming and emotional moment with the main characters together. Yeah, yeah, and yes, everybody. Well, I won't say if everybody survived, but yeah, yes, Ethan Hunt did survive. Grace survived, and yeah, there is no dialogue in the film. It's just music and characters just crossing paths with each other in a silent way, and it is just so impactful. It actually made me tear up. Yeah, it actually made me tear up. Yeah, that and the that monologue as well. That is the best ending in the franchise. Yes. Now, if I have a nitpick with the film, that would have to be the opening credit intro. No, not the intro itself, but the scene they chose to place it in. Place it in. Um, yeah, it was not well timed and felt out of place. Now, the scene where they placed the opening credit intro at was when after Ethan and Grace defeat Gabriel's henchman, and then Ethan's like, "Oh, let's go," and they both start running, and then the intro plays out, and then Ethan and Grace are still running afterwards. I think that was not the right choice. If I were to fix that nitpick with the film to make it the movie itself more perfect, I would say I would put the opening credit intro in the scene after the London mission when Ethan like walks away and then like walks slowly, and then and then Shia Wickham's character Briggs, I think they all like find him and then capture him. Yeah, that would have been the perfect time to put the opening credit intro in. But that one nitpick definitely does not take away the film from being flawless. So overall, Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning may not be the best Mission Impossible movie like what I hoped for, but it was the perfect finale to the franchise that culminates the franchise as a whole. It's a long movie, but it's earned. The reason why I prefer Dead Reckoning over this was because I think Dead Reckoning was just more exciting. It's more. I think I will remember that movie more, and I think Dead Reckoning just feels more complete with every single one of my favorite Mission Impossible characters in that film. Yeah. And I think if I were to choose one Mission Impossible movie that I would rewatch, it's Dead Reckoning. How I wish this movie was just as praised as the previous four films from Ghost Protocol to Dead Reckoning. This did not need to deserve to be viewed as one of the weaker installments in the franchise. Yeah. Yeah. So please, whatever you do, guys, go see this movie and don't watch that shitty Lilo and Stitch remake. Watch this movie instead. So without further ado, I'm going to give Mission Impossible The Final Reckoning, of course, 5 stars out of 5. A flawless movie. Oh, and also I forgot to mention that this would be my second favorite May 2025 movie, second only to Thunderbolts, which still remains my favorite movie of the year so far. And I'm glad that Thunderbolts still remains the best reviewed movie of this month. That was actually the one good thing about this movie getting only decent but underwhelming reviews. Is that Thunderbolts at least got its chance. So also for my review of Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning, are you excited for this movie or not? Did my review convince you to go get more excited for this film, or did the underwhelming reviews get you a little skeptical about it? And if you have seen a movie, would you agree with me that this movie does not deserve the underwhelming reviews that it has? Um, or did you do you are you with the other reviewers on it? And who agrees with me that Dead Reckoning is the best Mission Impossible movie? Period. Comment down below, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and stay tuned for my ranking on the Mission Impossible movies. Maybe my ranking of the Phase 5 MCU movies or the post Endgame MCU movies if I have time. Yeah, and also stay tuned for my review of Lilo and Stitch 2002, leading up to the live action remake of that film. Bye, guys.